Let's be real for a second. We've all typed it into a search engine at some point. Can you really grow taller? And what do you get? Just a mess of weird tricks and myths. Well, what if there was a simple, science-backed blueprint? Today, that's exactly what we're gonna build, piece by piece.
Does that hit home? I mean, this is such a real frustrating feeling, that sense of being stuck, of being left behind while it feels like everyone else is shooting up. It's that feeling that sends us down the rabbit hole looking for answers in the first place. Okay, so before we get into all the how-tos, we really have to understand the fundamental rules of the game. So, first up, genetics, and what I call the 80% rule. This is all about getting a handle on the limits, sure, but way more importantly, the possibilities of your height. So let's just look at the numbers. Your genetics, they account for about 80% of your potential height. And it's really easy to look at that huge number and think, well, the story's already written for me. But that other slice, that 20%, that is where things get really interesting. That 20% is a massive window of opportunity, and it's all influenced by your lifestyle and environment. And that's exactly where we're going to focus today. So how does this whole growth thing actually work on a physical level? Well, it's all about these things called growth plates. The easiest way to think about them is like active construction zones at the very ends of your long bones. They're made of this soft cartilage that keeps adding new bone, which is literally what makes you taller. But, and this is a big but, eventually they harden and fuse closed. And when that happens, natural growth stops. Our entire strategy is about maximizing everything that happens before they close. So what actually tells those growth plates to get to work? It's a surprisingly simple chain of command. It all starts up in your brain, which sends a signal to your pituitary gland to release the one and only human growth hormone, or HGH. HGH then kind of acts like a messenger. It travels to your liver and tells it to release another hormone called IGF-1. And IGF-1, that's the key. It's the stuff that directly talks to your growth plates and tells them to build new bone. The logic couldn't be simpler. More HGH means more IGF-1, which means more growth. Okay, so before we even get into trying to grow new height, what if I told you that you're probably not even standing at your full height right now, that you're hiding inches you already have? This brings us to our next section, unlocking your hidden height. And it's all about the power of posture. Now, this isn't just wishful thinking. It's based on two proven scientific principles. First, you got Wolff's Law, which basically says your bones adapt and get stronger based on the specific stress you put on them. Then there's Davis's Law, which is for your soft tissues, your muscles and ligaments, and it says they get longer and more flexible when you stretch them. The takeaway here? Our bodies are always changing and remodeling themselves based on what we do. Okay, so if we can actually use these laws to our advantage, how much of this hitting height are we really talking about? How much could you possibly gain just by fixing years of, slumping over a desk or staring down at your phone? 1 to 2 inches. Seriously, that's not a typo. By simply decompressing your spine and correcting your posture, you could be standing 1 to 2 inches taller, like right now. This isn't magic. It's just restoring your body to its natural uncompressed state. This is your first and easiest win, no question. All right, now that we've hopefully unlocked the height we already have, let's talk about building on it. This brings us to the real heart of our strategy, the 3 pillars of growth. Think of this as your go-to blueprint for squeezing every last drop out of your genetic potential. Pillar number 1 is movement, or as I like to call them, the stressors. This is all about sending the right kind of signals to your body to grow. For instance, high-intensity exercise like sprinting can boost your HGH levels by an incredible 400%. And sports like basketball or volleyball, they're perfect because they combine that intensity with jumping and stretching. And don't forget the simple stuff, like daily hang from a bar or doing a cobra pose. That helps decompress your spine and fight gravity. It's all about putting positive microstress on your bones, which encourages them to grow denser and stronger. But all that amazing movement is pretty much useless if you don't have the right building materials, which brings us to pillar number 2, fuel. Obviously, your body needs the essentials, protein, calcium, vitamin D, to actually build bone. But listen up, because here's the most critical part of this pillar. It's about what you need to avoid. Sugar is the absolute enemy of growth. It actively suppresses your HGH production. It shuts down the very process we're trying to encourage. So if you do only one thing with your diet, make it this: get rid of the sugar. Oh, and of course, drink lots of water to keep your spinal discs healthy. And that leads us to our final, and maybe the most overlooked pillar, recovery. Here's something you need to get into your head. You don't actually grow in the gym, you grow when you sleep. The vast majority of your human growth hormone is released during deep sleep, specifically between 10 p.m. and 2 a.m. That's why getting a solid 8 to 10 hours of sleep is completely non-negotiable. It's also why you have to avoid growth stunters like alcohol and smoking. They totally disrupt this critical recovery phase. Remember, rest days aren't lazy days, they're growth days. That is when all the rebuilding actually happens.
So, there we have it. Our 3 pillars: movement, fuel, and recovery. Now let's put it all together. This is your ultimate action plan, how you make this happen day in and day out for consistent results. So, what does this actually look like on a typical day? It's a really simple, powerful cycle. You start your morning by getting that sunlight to kickstart vitamin D, and you trigger that big HGH spike with some sprints. During the day, you give your body the fuel it needs with a protein-rich diet, and you avoid sugar like the plague. Then in the evening, you apply that good stress with sports or stretches like hanging, and finally at night, you give your body the deep, quality sleep it needs to do the real work of growing. See how each step sets up the next one? It creates this awesome, powerful, growth-focused rhythm.
So, there it is. You have the science, you have the strategy, and you have the daily plan. The blueprint is officially yours. The only question left is, what are you going to do with it? Are you going to act on it, or are you just going to keep wondering what if? The potential is right there, waiting for you to unlock it.